out of San Diego and New York. Our firm has represented survivors of childhood sexual abuse over the last 20 years. We've represented hundreds of survivors. To my right is Ross Leonidakis. Ross is an attorney with the law firm Nix Patterson. The spelling of the last name is Leonoud, D as in David, Akis. That firm is notorious right now. They just got a $38 million judgment in a case out of Montana involving sexual abuse of a Jehovah's Witness child. We've called this press conference today to announce that we filed yet another lawsuit against the Jehovah's Witnesses, and in particular against the governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses. These 8 gentlemen that run the entire world organization of Jehovah's Witnesses, make the policies for the Jehovah's Witnesses, dictate all of the practices of the Jehovah's Witnesses and their elders, their congregation elders. Their elders, their construct is a little bit different than other Christian denominations. They have kingdom halls, not churches. They have a body of elders that operate similar to a priest. They have ministerial servants that operate similar to what a deacon might be. And all of the instructions and operations come from the very top. So we're suing the organization, various levels of the organization, as well as the top 8 guys called the governing body. Now, for years, we have been pursuing litigation against Jehovah's Witnesses because they have a pervasive and a severe problem of child sexual abuse within that organization that they've been covering up for decades. Early on, we discovered that they maintain a database of known child molesters within the organization that dates back decades. We have received court orders for them to produce those documents, those molestation files, which they have refused to do. This has gone all the way up to the California Supreme Court and back, and they still refuse to obey court orders to produce these documents in a form that they can be used and be understood, so we can see the level of knowledge that this institution has had about abusers within their organization and the cover-up that's been going on for decades of known molesters. I'm going to give you just a little example. In Australia, the government there just conducted an investigation and released a report in 2017 that showed that they had discovered among a population of 67,000 Jehovah's Witnesses that there were 1,800 children molested and 1,000 molesters. Now extrapolate that to the United States, where there's about 1.5 million Jehovah's Witnesses and some 14,000 congregations. You can do the math yourself to get an idea of the scale of this problem. And they do have what I refer to as a crisis of silence in the organization. They're extremely secretive. They keep themselves insulated from the outside world. They view the outside world as being impacted by Satan, not to be trusted, that the institutions of the outside world are governed by Caesar's law, and that if they have any issues, any problems, they need to go to their elders. And everything is kept within the organization. And that is the big problem. And that's why children are getting molested and these are going unreported, these molestations, despite the fact that in most states they are mandated reporters under the law as clergy. They don't report. Now they'll tell you, oh, we don't discourage people from reporting. We even encourage people to report. But the reality is that people won't report because they're indoctrinated that they are not to bring reproach against Jehovah. They don't go to the outside authorities because they're taught not to trust outside authorities. Who would you go? Why would you go to law enforcement when you can go to the righteous elders and they will take care of the problem? The problem is they don't do that. In the case before you, we have our client, Kevin Ramirez, who is a very brave young man who's come forward publicly using his name. He's not a Doe. He's not hiding behind a Doe designation. He's here with the courage to use his own name and to go public with this lawsuit because he wants the world to understand what has happened to him and what is happening to other children within the Jehovah's Witnesses. Kevin was born in 1993. By the time he was 6 years old in 1999, he came under the wing of an elder in the San Dimas Spanish congregation of the Jehovah's Witnesses here in LA County, a man by the name of Humberto Ramirez, not related, who became his mentor, became his Bible study teacher. The children are taught that they are to obey and trust the elders above all, which he did. And soon after that relationship developed, Humberto started to groom Kevin into performing sexual acts with Humberto. And that grooming involved telling Kevin that, you know, Kevin, these are the things you have to do because this is what will get you into a paradise ever after. The Jehovah's Witnesses believe in an end of days, and if you live in their world and what they call the truth, and you remain clean within the truth, you will live in a paradise on earth ever after. And a 6-year-old child whose family is indoctrinated in that belief will trust that if he doesn't obey, then that's not going to happen. And that's what happened to Kevin. He was abused for a period of 6 years. From the ages of 6 to 8. In 2001, when he was 8 years old, he told his parents, he reported this, and other kids. What happened was they started having a conversation with other kids that he knew Humberto was hanging around with, and then they started talking and they started comparing what was happening to each other, and then he told his parents. They went to the elders. The elders conducted what they call a judicial committee, a tribunal, and they disfellowshipped Humberto, which is sort of the equivalent of an excommunication, but he can be reinstated if he applies later. But they didn't go to the police. No one told the police. And as a result, this young man has never really received the justice he deserves. He's suffered a lot in his life, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about what he's gone through as a result of this, of the sexual abuse that he experienced. And the purpose of this lawsuit really is to get him the justice he deserves through the civil justice system. That's all that we have left now, and we're going to do the best to get that for him. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to add it takes a lot of courage to do what Kevin's doing here today, and Kevin will tell you he hopes that by speaking up and bringing this to the public's attention, he not only will bring recognition to what's happening within the Jehovah's Witnesses, but encourage others to speak up, because it's not easy. As Erwin mentioned, our firm, Nix Patterson, has represented victims of sexual abuse involved with the Jehovah's Witnesses, and we are excited to team up with Erwin and the Zalkin firm. They've been doing this for a long time. They're one of the best there is at it. So we're honored to represent Kevin and to team up with the Zalkin firm and hope to bring this issue to the public's light and continue to represent victims across the country. Thank you.
Thank you.